Good evening, Andrea. How are you?
Oh, this is a big deal, Tony.
It's a
This
step
is,
up, no doubt about it.
yeah, as some have said, a big fucking deal. This is like,
It
I'm
is.
like, just wow. I'm so thrilled and I'm so delighted to welcome all of our new viewers to A World Awakening on KGRA. Plus, we're in, I don't know how many spots we're in. You said 8 or 9. We're like all over the place.
Right.
This is my first step into syndication. So, wow. Um, I'm very excited and I'm so thrilled that you are my partner in our paranormal uh, shenanigans that we get
Couldn't
into
be
here on A
happier
World
about that.
Awakening. Yeah.
Yes, couldn't be
Um,
happier.
well, what I couldn't be happier about is that my very favorite human being, um, the one man that totally gets me and who I totally get, my weirdo, John Tenney, is our special guest tonight. And I can't think of a better way to launch this new broadcast of our old show.
I
It's like
agree.
looking at our old reality with new eyes, and
Right.
I'm really excited about it. Before we bring John in, we're going to bring him right in. I just wanted to remind everybody that's watching that on Halloween weekend, um, my family is going to the farmhouse, and it might be for the last time because the farmhouse is up for sale, and I don't know who's going to buy it, and I have no idea what their intentions are. And so I feel like for the third time in my life, I'm probably losing my farmhouse again. Um,
Oh,
and it makes me sad and full of angst, and but also glad to be able to go back and have this experience. My father and my sister Nancy are coming with me. My mother, who cannot travel anymore, is staying home. Christine will be with her to take care of her. And Cindy will be, they will be Skyping in, Zooming in. How I don't know exactly what platform they're using, but they will be coming in remotely for several hours each day of the event. And the
yes.
rest of the time we'll be carrying the load up there. But I'm treating this as my goodbye to the farmhouse, and I haven't been there since March 11th of 2020, which was the day that I filmed a documentary uh, with my father. And we were there all day long. And when we got back to the hotel that night, we found out that that was the day that the World Health Organization declared a global pandemic.
Right.
The next
Right.
morning, we got on a plane, and there were 6 crew members and 24 people on a jumbo jet. And that was the beginning of this surreal last year and a half that we've all been through, and it's not over yet. We all know it's not over yet. It's not going to be over for quite some period of time. We've discussed that at length on this broadcast, but that was my last visit to the farmhouse, and this might be my last visit to the farmhouse, depending on whoever purchases the place. So I invite everybody to hop on to our 3-day live stream and attend. And thank you for being such a big part of that and handling the tech and all the work that you've done to make this a screaming success, as it were. Um,
My pleasure. And it's going to be an amazing event just because, like you said, they're bringing back the parent family to the house where this all occurred. But like you said, it might be the last time this ever happens.
yeah.
So an event, if anybody wants to check out, just go to the dark zone indavomedia.com for tickets and check that out
Yeah, I think it's $20 for 3 days,
for
and
3 days. You're
it's
right.
going to be 24/7 running. It's going to be a really big deal. And my mother and my sisters, Christine and Cindy, think they're at a safe distance from the farmhouse, being 1,200 miles away. And I haven't bothered to tell them that when it comes to spirits, there's no such thing as a safe distance.
That's what I
So
was gonna say. I'm like, I don't think there is any safe distance when you're
yeah,
talking entities and spirits, right?
yeah, no. So I mean, really, anything could happen because when I walk in that house, it activates it just automatically. Gizmos and gadgets start going off, and stuff starts getting recorded, and it's bizarre. And I don't know why they love me so much, but they do, and I love them back. Maybe it's because I love them too.
Right.
Um, but that said, not a moment more will we discuss this because we have got Mr. John L. E. L. Tenney. Mr. John E. L. Tenney in the green, and now he's on the screen from green to screen.
Hello,
John,
my dear.
I cannot thank you enough for joining me. I feel like there's so much good karma around this, like having you be the one. Um, and I mean, first and only choice as far as I am concerned. I truly, I don't want to embarrass you, but I truly do believe that you are brilliant and beautiful in every way. And what you bring to this field, what you bring to the light you bring to the world is beyond compare. And
Thank
so,
you.
I'm going to ask only one thing of you tonight. Only
Uh-oh.
one. And I want to start the program out this way because everyone knows you as the king of the realm of the weird, and you even sign your posters and everything,
Stay weird.
stay weird, love my weirdos, it's your thing. And your mantra being that we've used in the and Deb DeRusse is here. What you think is weirder than you think, which is my favorite saying. We even included it because we pulled Erin's here and we pulled up. I sent some photographs that I sent for you to okay if there was anything you didn't want in there. And we'll do a little retrospective in a little while. But the one thing that I want you to share with the audience tonight is one of the most fascinating things that I've ever heard you discuss. And it's the etymology of the word weird. So would you be kind enough to start with that? I know everything else you want to discuss, you like to come up with organically, like on the fly. I know that about you. But if you would just start us off with that, I think it will set the tone for the whole show.
Of course, but you have to allow me to say thank you first for letting me be your first guest on this show. It's a big deal, like you said in the opening. So thank you for letting me be here and be a part of it.
Yeah, I included an expletive in there too, just to make you comfortable.
Thank you. Yeah, so I talk about weirdos a lot, and I call people weirdos at the beginning of my lectures. And I wrote an article a long time ago. The first time I think that I heard someone call me a weirdo, I was being probably punched in the stomach by some bullies. Yeah. And there was this moment of youthful clarity where I thought to myself, oh, so a weirdo might get beat up, but a weirdo isn't beating someone up. Like, I'm glad I'm not whatever they are. If a weirdo is obviously not what they are, I'm glad I am what I am. And as I got older and became fascinated with the word, I mean, I would hear it, as I'm sure many of your listeners and viewers have, where people will say it under their breath at work, oh, the weirdo. Or you're getting a coffee somewhere and someone says, oh, that person over there is a weirdo. The word itself, it's derived from a 14th century word, which is spelled W-Y-R-D, the weird. You even see that with Shakespeare writes about the weird sisters, who we talk about as being witches. But the etymology of the word weird literally meant the people who did not do what the kings and queens of the land barons and baronesses, what they commanded. They were people who did what they wanted to do. They lived the way that they wanted to live. And it literally means those who manifest their own destiny. So when you call someone a weirdo, you're saying that they think for themselves, that they create their reality, that they exist in a world of their choosing. And it's one of the greatest compliments that you can give someone. So when I call someone a weirdo, I'm giving them the highest compliment I can possibly think of.
Oh, well, apparently we have quite a few of them checking in with us tonight, including from England already. Marvelous. Well, I've known of you for decades. I've known you in person since 2014. So it's been a while now.
It's getting to be a while, yes.
Yes. And I've missed you so much during the pandemic because we used to lecture together. You're literally the only person that I lecture with. And we used to do 2 or 3 or 4 or more events every year over, up until COVID. A couple of times a year at O'Mara's, which I miss terribly. And then at different events, we're going to be appearing together at the Mid-Michigan Paracon, or as the weirdos call it, Mid-Mish. I mean,
Right.
let's just, let's abbreviate it down, to as much as we possibly can. And I'm so looking forward to that one more time because, we're still living in very strange times. You have referred to me in the past as the Queen of High Strangeness.
Mm-hmm.
I always think of you as the king of the realm of the weird. And when we're on stage together, I get this bizarre sensation that for at least those couple of hours, we're ruling the netherworld together.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think the reason that we get along so well and the reason that we interact so well, especially on stage, is we're both really just trying to get people to be their true selves, right?
Yes, exactly.
With no fear, talk about your weirdness, talk about the things that bring joy and love, and try and elevate the discourse and conversation with all of the humorous parts that are, I mean, so much gets lost where it's silly. And what we're doing is very silly and wonderful. When I talk about ghost hunting and I talk about ghost hunters, the ghost hunting world is filled with like tombstones and bats and bloody fonts and gravestones, and everybody wears a black t-shirt. And it seems that ghost hunting is this very dark thing, but the reality of ghost hunting is it's a very light thing. We know what death is. That's not the part that we're interested in. We understand that's something we're all going to deal with. We're interested in the persistence and more life, something that's much brighter. And so when you and I get on stage and we're just being genuinely open and being as weird as we are, I think that just really feeds off of each other, and the crowd gets it too, because even the questions we'll get back from the crowd as we allow ourselves to be as strange as we are, the questions will become stranger and stranger coming up from the audience, and you can see people kind of opening their mind to, oh, it's okay to be weird right now.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you remember, but a few years ago at Amara's, I had everybody stand and reach out to whoever was sitting near them, was where they were, and had them hold hands. And the thing that I found interesting about that was, as I was watching the room, and we must have had a couple of hundred people in there, watching the room and looking at each other like they hadn't noticed each other yet. Everybody was always focused on who was just at their table, just their little circle. And they were having to outreach and touch the warm fingers of another human being who they probably didn't even know. And to watch that happen. And then I basically made them hold that and close their eyes and feel the vibration of the room change when everyone did that together. And you reached out, took my hand, and we just watched them rise.
Yeah.
Like the whole vibration of the room changed, and everyone was completely interconnected energetically. And at first I thought, as I'm processing this, I don't even know why I did it. I wasn't pre-planned. Nothing we ever do is
Right.
pre-planned. Done. Let's just admit that right now. We're both flying by the seat of our pants on the magic carpet when we go for a ride on any stage. But I thought that people would retract their hands quickly because in some way this might be an uncomfortable exercise for them, and they didn't. They did the opposite. Do you remember how many people reached over and hugged someone that they'd been holding hands with for 2 minutes that they didn't even know? How much interaction and energy that created in the room? It was absolutely beautiful. And then you blew off the stage and went and had a cigarette and left me there to deal with it, which I did.
But you know this, there's these moments where the human race, we feel so disconnected. And like you said, and I miss talking to you and miss lecturing with you and going to events because of the quarantine. But before you brought me on, like you were talking about, like spiritually, there's no distance though. Like it's hard for us to remember that, and giving people a moment to connect and touch another human being can really reignite this idea that, oh, we are all here together. We're all one thing. I always, when I have been doing podcasts and stuff lately and people are asking me about my thoughts, one of the things I always tell people is the way that I think about internally, my internal dialogue right now is when I'm looking at someone, I am looking at me in disguise in that person. Like, they're just me in a disguise. And so I'm talking to me, and I really feel like when you connect people, I started doing a thing at ghost hunting events where instead of everybody sitting around in a room with a digital recorder in the middle of the room and everybody asking questions, I make everyone hold hands while they're going around, and I make them have a connection with the person sitting next to them. And you see something in the ghost hunting realm that even the spirits understand, oh, they're interacting, not only trying to interact with me, but they're actually interacting with each other. And I think that makes a huge difference. And it's wonderful that there are people to throw out, like you and, I to a lesser extent, but you too, where we throw out thought seeds. And it's like, here's the seeds, let them grow, and then you bring them back to me, and then and we work with each other. We forget that sometimes. We become so me-centric and me-motivated.
Yeah. It's well, that's one thing that I'm really glad about, because I don't know if I can say glad. I don't think it's even fair to say glad. That's not the right word. I'm very humble. And because of that, I make myself the caboose a lot. And never for one moment do I forget that this last 10 or 12 years of my life that have been so completely transformational for me are all about you and them and everyone else that's connected in a way that I didn't, John, I've told you this personally. I didn't know anybody would want to read my books. I thought that I wasted 7 years of my life writing those 3 books, literally to the exclusion of all else in the prime of my life. And that I was quite unsure that there would be somebody out there that would want to read them. So it was a real leap of faith, mm-hmm. and an imperative for me to do so. I literally had to do it, even, throwing caution to the wind, tempting fate, call it whatever you want to do. It was what I had to do. And you being an author, your writing is splendid. I love it. In fact, I'm really looking forward to my next book. I'm looking forward to that. Your next book to me. And I want to know if you have that same sensory perception when you're writing, not just like a compulsion to do so, and you never forget who you're writing for.
Yeah, it is a very strange, obviously it's a very personal thing when you're writing, because you're trying to solidify those transient thoughts that are ever evolving and changing through your brain and trying to get them on the page. So hopefully someone somewhere will connect and read with it. I mean, because that's the thing. Like I try to convince myself that what I'm doing is altruistic in the sense that I'm trying to help other people. But the reality is I'm really, if everyone else is just me in disguise, I'm really just trying to help myself.
Yes.
I'm trying to create a community around me that is more accepting and asking better questions and more well-informed, because I don't presuppose that I know the answers, and I need everyone else's help to help me find the answers that I'm looking for. And so by being a good steward of weird ideas, like I think you and I tend to be, it helps motivate me to write, because I think, oh, someone may need to hear this story. Someone may need to read this. And then, so years ago when I was working with kids with learning disabilities, one of my students came in and he had they had been racing outside going really fast. And this is one of those moments where I sometimes talk about something comes out of you and it came from somewhere else, whether it's when you're painting or writing a song, you don't know where it's coming from. It just blurts out of your mouth and the universe put it in your brain, it came out. But this little boy came in and he plopped down at the desk where I was sitting next to me, and he said, "I lost. The good guys always lose." And it was that trope of, good people always lose the race, right?
Yes.
And from somewhere, without even thinking, like he said that, good guys always lose. And without thinking, I looked at him and I said, we sometimes good guys come in last, but that's fine, because we don't mind seeing other people win. That's what makes us good guys. And I thought for myself in a moment, oh, where did that come from? That's a really strange idea. Uh-oh, you froze on me. Oh, there you are. Wait.
There you are. I don't know. Boy, that was just like a jolt of energy.
Yeah, something.
Wow. But yes, it's what makes us the good guys. You're right.
Yeah, we don't mind seeing other people win. That's fine. I don't really want to win. I just want to play.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I just want to play, and I want to play nice with others.
Yeah.
Nice is way too underrated. That was bizarre though, that energy jolt that just went.
It was kind of weird.
I felt it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was kind of weird.
I felt it because, I think it's interesting that you and I did the same thing for a living, the exact same thing. I worked with disadvantaged and disabled children, boys, all boys, for 10 years of my life. And it, not knowing it at the time and not understanding what the future held for me, just having that niggling feeling that there was something more, there was something beyond this, that I was going to make my contribution where I did at the time for the length of time that I did. But then I knew that there was something coming. I just didn't know what it was. But I look back on that time, and I think you could probably say the same thing. I mean, you're a graphic artist. You've worked for, every major network. I know, me too. I've owned 3 of my own businesses. I worked in, a private school for challenged young boys for 10 years of my life. Everything I have experienced, including growing up at the farm, prepared me for now.
Yeah, and what's so great is, even with the hindsight of, so like I've had a lot of mentors in my life and a lot of really brilliant, smart people still in my life. You're one of them, people who challenge me and give me ideas to think and grow. But when I was paraproing, like a lot of those kids were mentors to me. One other quick story about one student of mine. Her name was Rachel, and she was mostly nonverbal. She could speak, but she just chose not to. And we were coloring one day, and she was sitting next to me, and she started to giggle, and she said, "You and I are different." And I said, "We are. I'm a boy and you're a girl." And she laughed some more and kept coloring. And then she stopped and she put her crayons down and she took my hand and she looked at me and she said, "No, no, no. You worry about so much and all I do is love people. That's how we're different." And then she picked up her crayon and started coloring again. And I thought, how am I supposed to be the teacher in this situation? She just gave me a huge lesson in reality and in humanity. And I'm supposed to be helping her. Like, it didn't make any sense.
I know. I had that same sensation many times leaving Harmony Hill at the end of a very long day. Many times I felt like I should pay them my day's wages. I should give it back to them for what it brought to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is really one of those things too. It's great because it's moments like that that make you realize that insightfulness, wisdom, clarity can happen at any moment, and it can be channeled through a child or a tree or a bird song or a puddle when you splash through it. Like, it can be everywhere, that the universe is providing you with examples of wisdom and kindness and clarity and imagination all of the time.
All of the time. Interestingly, today, I feel like I'm using the wrong words tonight. I'm not nervous. I'm excited. And that is different than nervous. Nervous has almost a negative connotation, like it's suppressing your energy, and it's the opposite for me. And today I was sitting out on my terrace and cursing myself because there's weeding to be done that has gone sorely neglected during the month of October, which is, we all know, Paranormal Christmas. And I've been so busy and I've just kind of let things go straight to hell out there. And as I'm sitting there thinking, who would even want to visit this terrace? It's usually so beautiful and it looks like a rat's nest now. And the blooms, because it's still been so hot down here. It's been in the 80s every day. Everything's in full bloom. And as I'm sitting there thinking, who would want to visit my terrace right now? Here comes a hummingbird. And
Right.
it was a male hummingbird, beautiful, beautiful, and buzzed all around the terrace and visited every plant and buzzed around my head. And Peanut was sitting over on her, her very nice, one of her peanut pallets, also known as bench, which that's so mundane. And then I realized there was my answer from the universe. A hummingbird would like to visit your terrace today and visit you.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people in our field who would say, "Oh, that's my great aunt Lydia," or, that's my sister just came to visit in the form of a bird. That's lovely. If that's true, that's absolutely lovely. For me, a hummingbird is enough. It's like, that's magical enough that a hummingbird came and buzzed around my head and loved on my little dog and drank from my flowers and left after a minute.
Yeah. And it's funny too that you said you were cursing yourself because you haven't taken care of your garden. So etymologically, because I do love words, and because you said you were having trouble with words, but cursing, so curse is etymologically derived from the word current for river. And a curse, it didn't mean something negative. A curse was something that you put on someone to change their life. It was a way to change the direction, like the current of a river. So, I've had people on Twitter and social media say, they're going to curse me, or they're going to curse this thing or curse that. And I think that they have it in their mind that that's a bad thing, when the reality of the situation is if you went to someone who at the time, and the reason it has a negative connotation is because the church was in control of a lot of stuff. And so if you went to the wise old woman on the edge of town and she gave you a better direction for your life, the church would say that you had been cursed, that she'd put a curse on you. When the reality is she was just giving you a different direction. And so you just gave yourself a different direction today, and the hummingbird found you.
Yes. And, when we speak together, I very often touch on that particular metaphor in terms of the river, the water, about how when we're little, we're so afraid to even toe dabble, because the current, it's moving right along. It's, life is a river and it's moving at full strength. And so we're little and we're afraid. And then we get older and we get a little braver and we see others getting into the river. And then when we get older still, we start feeling like, okay, maybe I could actually swim in this river. Mm-hmm. And then we learn how to swim. And then we immediately swim out into the center of the river where the current is strongest and start swimming against the current. Because we're quite certain that everything that we want in life, we can't actually see it, but it's right up around that bend. I can't see it, but I know it's up there, the big ass house and the really luxurious car and maybe a boat. And maybe this will make me happy. Or this will make me happy, or maybe this will make me happy and I can't see it. But if I swim long and hard enough, I'm going around the corner and there it will be. And so that seems to be how so many people live out their lives. And then what they find as they swim and expend and exert all of their energy swimming against the current, they suddenly realize that they're starting to drown in their own desire for what they cannot see. And so my advice, as you well know, is to simply change your mind. Just flip over and float. Just float, because the current knows the way. The universe knows the way. And when our life journey is the journey and the destination interchangeably, it doesn't matter where you're going. Just take the easy way down the middle of the river. I even bring floaties. I do. I have to sometimes. Of
course. And, when you submit like that and you relax and allow the current to push you, it usually pushes you out into the ocean where everything started and where everything needs to be. So, you really do get rid of that swimming mechanism. I, many years ago, had gone on a kayaking trip with a friend of mine. And at one point, I looked way down the river, and she was, I don't know, a quarter of a mile ahead of me, just chugging along, going as fast as she could. And I was doing lazy Susans, just spinning around and looking at the trees and stuff. And I thought, man, I am so glad I'm not hot and sweaty and tired right now. This is like the most beautiful stuff I've ever seen. And I could hear my friend screaming from over, come on, come on. And I was like, why are you in such a rush for this to be over?
Really?
Yeah, just enjoy the river, enjoy the ride, enjoy the scenery.
Yeah, it is the most blissful thing for me about life is when I literally have crossed off everything on my list that I intended to do in any given day. That doesn't happen very frequently, but sometimes it does. Or sometimes I just pick the list up and turn it over so I can't see what's on it and, gone. And just to have those moments where I take the peanut out for a walk and I pull my shoes off. Well, I never really wear shoes down here anyway. But even if I have flip-flops on, I take them off and go out in the grass with her and just feel the earth beneath my feet. And about an hour ago, I was doing just that so that I knew she'd be nice and comfortable for the show and just sitting here on one of her princess palettes. And I looked up. And I don't even know why I did, because I usually watch what she's getting into, because she really does require, I'm watching you. And I looked up and I saw at a vast distance, I saw this beautiful light, and it was moving in such a way, and I know you'll understand what I'm saying.
Mhm.
It was moving in such a way that I knew it wasn't a satellite. I knew it wasn't the space station. I knew it wasn't one of our own jet planes or a vessel created on this earth. I knew it was them. And I knew it was just a little, a tip of the hat, a nod. Go for it. Go for it. You and John tonight, you go for it tonight. And I just felt it. And every time I say, you get down here, the answer is we are here. And so that was just confirmation for me that they knew what we were going to do tonight. They know what we're going to talk about. I'll ask them now, or whoever is, what spirits. We always bring our own entourage, John, everywhere we go. We do.
Mhm.
And our stage can get pretty crowded.
Yes.
But just to help us maintain the energy and so that we don't get lost again like that, and let the show go forward as smoothly as Lake Placid itself, and we'll throw pebbles in that big ass pond and make concentric circles and create a vibration and raise the frequency of this planet in just a couple of hours of exchanging ideas and, feeling the love of doing this, of even having the opportunity to do this. And oh, thank God the web did not crash with COVID. What the hell were we going to do if that happened when everybody had no choice but to get on this machine to talk to each other?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's funny that you said Lake Placid, because when I think about those balls of light and whatever we're interacting with at a higher level, I think about when we were on Mackinac Island often and saw that enormous light out over the lake.
Oh God, that was amazing.
And such an amazingly bright light that even you and I, as weird as we are, we're like, that couldn't be what it is it? And it was, of course it was.
It was.
But it was just that it's one of those wonderful moments where there was just you and I completely relaxed, completely at peace, and now the weirdness can begin. There was no forcing it. There was no struggling to make anything happen. There was no one in the crowd because it was just you and I at the time. I think we were between groups.
Yes.
When it happened. And so there was no one that had any deception or ill intent. It was just two people being open and honest and let the weirdness begin. I mean, that's really when it happens, when you're just interacting and being weird with other weirdos.
Yes. And we didn't even realize it. But, of course, we were at the mission and with this massive sprawling lawn at the tip of Mackinac Island, which is magnificent, by the way. Anybody that's never been there, put it on your bucket list and do it right now. Everybody that was coming down that hill, and Amy Bruni was leading the way, as I recall, they all saw it.
Yeah.
But we didn't know because we were transfixed by it.
Yeah.
And you said something like, is that Mackinac City? Or I said, is that Mackinac City? Do they have a lighthouse? I mean, we'd been there, I've never seen that before. And then it got bigger and bigger, and the color got deeper and richer, and the crowds coming in behind us. And I had no sense of them.
I know I didn't either.
had no sense of them. I was absolutely like, wow, do I see this? And I just remember saying to you, John, that ain't no fucking lighthouse. It's not. And it got bigger and it got bigger. And then it was lights out.
Gone.
And it wasn't gone. It just turned its lights off.
Yeah.
Because that was the way for it to tell us that it was exactly who we thought that it was.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed. And, the first time I ever saw anything that I would say was not of this world, I always find this part of it fascinating. So it was in the early 90s, and I was working a midnight shift at a job, and I had gone out to have a cigarette, and I was looking at the moon, and I was transfixed at the moon. It was a beautiful, clear night. And out of the corner of my eye, the first thing that I thought was, oh, someone is flying a kite. And I didn't look away from the moon when I thought that. I just thought it was someone flying a kite in the night sky, which doesn't make any sense now as I say it, but at the moment it made sense.
Yeah.
And without looking away again, as it moved in a straight line, I still hadn't broken my gaze at the moon, and I thought, those birds are flying very strangely. And then, as it moved more across the sky, I finally broke my gaze with the moon and looked directly at this enormous black shape, and underneath it there were these kind of orange globes that were almost reflecting the city lights below. Mm-hmm. And I was staring at it, and I thought to myself, what is that? Now, at that point, I had already been lecturing on UFOs and flying saucers for 7 years by that point. Wow. The last thing that I was thinking about was that this was any kind of off-world, otherworldly craft. And then as soon as it vanished from my sight, there was this pop into my head, and I knew as soon as they were gone that it was them.
Yes.
And I've never really been able to explain that to people who haven't had that experience, but it's like in the moment, they are doing something to my perception of reality. Like you are not really at the point where you can handle this. You'll be able to handle it when you're not looking at us and the idea comes into your head. Like, but we have to separate those two right now. And then as soon as they were gone, then the idea came into my head, maybe so my neural net didn't overload or whatever. But there was a moment where I realized, oh, that they were not only in control of that craft, but somehow in touch with my mind.
Exactly. Precisely right. Because that's what happened to me tonight. I saw it traverse maybe a quarter of the visible sky. And then it was poof, lights out. And the sky is completely clear, not a cloud in it tonight. And I immediately said aloud, I knew it was you.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was you. And I get so excited. I turn into a 5-year-old, John.
I do too.
Oh my God. It's like Christmas morning. It really, every single sighting that I have is like the first time. I'm living in a series of paradigm shifts. Every time I grow a little more, I feel a little deeper. My sensory perceptions grow more acute. And I'm more than anything, I feel such intense gratitude that they would, this thing was right over the house. Mm-hmm. I couldn't have possibly missed it. That is not a coincidence. I don't believe in coincidence. I think that's a word that we made up to explain away the otherwise inexplicable events of life. I think that's why that word serves a purpose in the vernacular, in the paranormal patois in particular. I don't believe in coincidence. They were there for me to see them. I was told, look up. And then my response was, I knew it was you.
See, and that's the thing too. Obviously, like I know that some people argue against science. I love science and the fact that it's giving me a chance to talk to you right now. It flies me across the world. But everything has its pros and cons. But when I have many friends, as you do, who are doctors and PhDs and scientists, and they will say, oh, that experience is a coincidence, or that moment was just a coincidence. The dictionary definition of coincidence are seemingly unrelated events which for no seemingly discernible reason seem to be related. That is such a bullshit answer. It means we don't know why it happens. And yet scientists and skeptics
just say so. Yep.
Yeah, scientists and skeptics will throw coincidence at you as if it's an answer, when the reality is that word means they have absolutely no idea what is happening. And when we embrace, I mean, this is the other thing that makes me so, it gets me so fired up when I talk to my friends who are like that. They don't have to, I mean, I don't want anyone to believe anything that they don't want to believe. That's fine. I have lots of ideas. My ideas are malleable and they evolve and they're flexible and they change all the time. But to tell me that I'm ridiculous because I think crystals might have power, or witchcraft doesn't work, or like whatever I believe, whatever crazy thing they think I'm believing in, I think to myself, like, but how much more fun is my world? How much more full of joy is my world?
Yes.
They walk outside and they might enjoy the cool breeze, being the diehard materialist skeptic. They walk out there and they're like, oh, it's a nice breeze today. But I go out and I have conversations with the wind and I talk to it and it talks back.
Yes,
like,
it does.
How much joy, like, why would you deny yourself living in this highly strange, seemingly shared reality? You have all of these options of extraterrestrials and creatures and magic rocks. Like, it's so wonderfully beautiful. Why would you deny yourself all of that color and joy?
And the minutia of this world, I find myself gravitating toward some of the smallest things in the world. As you well know, living in Florida, I have a terrace that has, I don't know, hundreds of lizards and chameleons living on it. And they're all little itty bitty, they're just precious. Some of them are a little larger, 2-3 inches, but, and I named them all, I've got Carlos and Benita, and, they've got like 1,000 names because there's plenty of names to choose from. Look how many names we have to use every year just for hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I've convinced Peanut, not to chase them and kill them. And she never ate them, but she would bite down on one. And it would go into a spasm, like, I'm going to play dead now, just, playing possum. And then I would, of course, say no and take it out of her mouth and hold it and let it turn over in my hand and feel the softness of its tiny little feet against my skin. And sometimes it would crawl over onto the top of my hand and start coming up my arm, like, oh, I think I'll stay here. She's safe. She doesn't bite me. And until they recoup. And then hop off and off they go out into the plants. And I feel not only so good about saving a little life like that, which would mean nothing to most people, but I got to feel a creature that normally does not let you touch them. They run like hell in the opposite direction if you get anywhere near them. And their tails are so long and slender, and it tickles as it goes up. It might only be like a minute.
Yeah.
But I saved one today from the jaws of death. That got in the house, and she chased it down, and she bit it a little bit, and it flipped over on its back like, I give. And I picked it up and I took it outside, and Dad was sitting out there, and he's like, what you got? And I said, I just saved another life. And he watched me. He watched what I did to, kind of give it back. It's almost like I did Reiki on it.
Yeah, right.
Here, take your life force back here. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. And then let it flip over in my hand, and then it crawled over the top, and then up it went. And he's like, that's amazing. That's amazing that you can do that little creature will let you do that. And it's because in that moment we are simpatico. In that moment we are shared life force on this planet, and with goodwill, I'm willing this little creature to fully recuperate from who, and it wants to live.
Yeah,
it wants to live.
You've seen my lectures, and one of the things that I talk about is I will pick someone out in the crowd and ask them, you know, how long did it take to make you? And people will say, mostly they'll say 9 months. Every now and then someone will be a smart ass and say 3.5 minutes, you know, something like that.
I love it. I've been there for a couple of those.
But the reality of the situation is that it took the entirety of the time of the creation of the universe to make each one of us. It took us billions of years to make each human that's on this planet. But that also extends to every living thing on this planet, whether it be a lizard or a cat or a dog. They're each unique, individualized creations and expressions of the universe. And it's so vastly important to understand that, you know, when you smash something out of existence, like you've smashed a unique, individualized expression out of the universe in that form forever.
Yes.
And what gives us the right? Because I wrote this little intro to a book a few years ago, and the book was about the mythology of elves and dwarves. And I ended my little paragraph about that saying, like, but when we talk about little people and we talk about the small, lovely things, the small, strange creatures, if we're talking about the vastness of the universe and the size and the immensity of the universe, when we talk about those small, amazing creatures, we're talking about us.
Yes.
Tiny little special magical creatures that live on this little planet somewhere. And we've been given an example through dogs and cats and the spiders that live in our house. And I tell people all the time, if you believe in ghosts, you know, when you smash a spider out of existence, you didn't really get rid of it if you believe in ghosts, right? Now you've got a spider ghost in your house, and now it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it was funny too, because at the UFO con that we were both just recently at, which was a blast. Thank you, Deb and RJ DeRoos, for that incredible weekend. You talked about this and particularly about spiders. And when your lecture was over, I went back to my room and opened the bathroom door, and here's this tiny little black spider. I sent you a picture of it. I texted it to you. That was just sitting on my bathroom floor, like, ha ha ha, you know, Tenney was right. I dare you to step on me. I'm like, no, I would never. You know, the first thing I did was find a little plastic cap and a little piece of paper to put over the spider and take him outside.
And that takes as much, I mean, that literally, I tell people this all the time, putting a little cap or a jar and getting a piece of paper and putting a spider outside, that takes as much effort as having to wipe away the gunk after you smash it out of existence anyway.
And it's still alive.
Yeah, and
enjoy the world with us.
Yeah, and every time, Jessica, my friend, and I talk about this all the time, every time we save a spider or a moth, we put a moth outside, whatever, like there's almost immediate good karma that happens. It's like the universe sees you save this tiny, small, fragile thing and says, okay, here's your little reward for doing that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's wonderful. You know, what I have learned over the course of my life is that for everything that you give, every part of you that you put out into the world, you know, the wavelength that you ride into the world, through the world, of the world, makes a difference. And even though the love and the healing and the, for lack of a better word, the karma, you know, that karmic circle that we're all supposedly running around in like a chipmunk, a gerbil, that makes a difference. Like the pebble in the pond creates the ripple effect on the placid water. And that energy is generated to every square inch of that body of water, whether or not you see the ripples. It is a change in the energy, and everything, I believe everything is energy. Everything is consciousness, and everything is energy. And all existence is one existence. And we are absolutely inseparable. We are interchangeable, that it is counterintuitive to think of the world in any other way. and that what we're suffering, particularly now at this point in our evolution, is the illusion of separation, that we are somehow foreign to each other. We are somehow alien to each other, which is why at this time of such enormous grief and outpouring of emotion throughout the course of humanity that is literally raising the vibration of the planet, including fear, because we're all dealing with our own mortality simultaneously on the planet. If you're a thinking, feeling human being, you've considered that COVID can kill you.
Right.
You know, all right. Everybody has had to confront that in some way, shape, or form. So, you know, when I think about the energy that we put forth, and we're going to put energy forth no matter what, because we exist, shouldn't we choose to live in the light? Shouldn't we choose every day to be our best self? And however we relate to the world, let it be with kindness and good intention and beauty. It seems the logical choice to me.
Yeah. And again, I think that that's why looking at the things around us, I think that we've been given so many examples that so many people gloss over. You know, you often hear how we're the most highly evolved species on the planet, and we're the greatest. I mean, you know, I think it's George Carlin used to say, like, humans aren't the most evolved. I've never seen a dog with a mortgage, right? Like but that in that joke, right, there's a thought seed in that joke, which is
there is
animals are the best part of us. You know, they live in the moment right now. Your dogs and cats, whether or not, you know, cats arguably, but they love unconditionally. They just love, and that's all they really want to do is get love and give love.
Yeah.
And they don't question, you know, who it's coming from. If you show love, you get it back. They are the best parts of us.
Yes.
I think that's why it hurts so much when they go away. You know, when their physical form goes away, that's why it hurts so much, because you're losing the best thing about a human. And when you were talking about us feeling so separate, you know, we get locked into human beings are very dualistic. We love yes and no, right and wrong, black and white, hot and cold, day and night. We love these dualistic systems. And I think that it is very wonderful that the thing that you were saying, we're all energy, we're all one thing. I believe that too. And I think that what's amazing is the commonality that we share with every person on the planet is that we're each a unique individual. That's the thing we have in common. I mean, it's hard for some people to wrap their brains around, because that's both a hot and a cold, right? It's beyond a dualistic system. It seems like a paradox. But the thing that we have in common is that we're not anyone else. We are ourselves. And so, like, when you realize, oh, the thing I have in common with that person is that they're not me and I'm not them. So in a sense, that's our commonality. That's the thing I share with them. They're just like me because they're nothing like me.
Yes. And it is a bit of a paradox.
Mm-hmm.
There is something about that I think really causes us to think more deeply about the nature of our existence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a very important thing for people to do. In fact, the whole structure of this show, the whole point of it, is to get people to think in a way they haven't thought before about things they've thought about for their entire lives.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is, I say this sometimes at my lectures, and I think that's why what you're doing is so important, and why lecturing and doing podcasts and shows is so important. Because I've said during my lectures, if we play a thought game of saying there is no such thing as ghosts, there's no such thing as spirits, there's no such thing as extraterrestrials, if this is all it is, if it's just here and now, but We have the idea of all of those things as a mechanism to share our deepest insights and thoughts and the concernings of our hearts. If we have that mechanism to share with each other, then it's still vastly important.
Yes.
Like, even if that stuff isn't there, if all this is a reason for us to connect and talk to each other in the brief flash of a time that we're here together, what could be more important than that?
Nothing.
Right.
Nothing. I know it's a beautiful interplay. It's have you ever noticed that when you're deep in conversation with someone who gets you like this, like now,
Mm-hmm.
do you ever find that you get a swirling sense of timelessness about it? It's
Yeah.
like I can talk to you for 5 minutes and it can feel like 5 hours. I can talk to you for 5 hours and it feels like 5 minutes. There is a timelessness about connecting at what I would say is like a higher level of consciousness.
Absolutely.
When you step out of 3D and you go elsewhere. And it doesn't matter. You don't have to a label on where elsewhere is. You don't. I mean, I know, John Tenney, I know. And I'm going to say it. I've talked about this before. I have been with you off planet. I have been in the same places that you are, in different places that are not here.
Mm-hmm.
Several times. And I don't know where we are. I don't know what's going on. I remember one of the times I wrote to you about it because it was so striking. But you were dressed very much how you are now, except you had a coat on instead. And we were in a place, there was a very large room. It was a beautiful, it seemed like an older building, a massive stone fireplace, massive. And you were standing and you had one of your left leg up on what would be like a sitting hearthstone, and you were smoking a cigarette, and the room was full of people, and I was at the opposite side of the room, and there was color and there was magic and there was music and there was sound, and it was a wonderful event. Everyone seemed very happy. And then suddenly I looked over to you and you turned and you looked at me, and they all turned gray. They all turned ashen gray, and slowly, quietly, without saying a word, I didn't hear them breathing. That whole entire crowd left the building, closed the doors, and I'm standing on one side of this massive hall, and you're standing on the other side in front of the fireplace. And all you do is smile and flick your ashes into the fire. And that was it. And it was so real that I can literally describe the grain of the wood of the floor and the feel of the stone, of the field stone that the fireplace was made of. And nothing about it felt like earth. Nothing did. And it was so vivid. It was right in the middle of the day. I remember it was like 2:00 in the afternoon. I laid down, I closed my eyes, boom, there I was. And it was almost like I was just checking in on you. How's John doing? Always having a cigarette. Okay, boom, in the fireplace. Now that most people would say, oh, well, that was a pretty interesting dream, and then just move on with their lives and not remember it and just go on and go have more dreams. And it stuck with me for a reason. And the reason that it stuck with me and that I remembered every single detail of it was because it wasn't a dream. It was elsewhere. So when we get into that swirling smoke and embers that rise from a fire pit, and we're just dancing in the smoke and having a conversation that some would consider heady. I feel completely liberated. How about you?
No, absolutely. I mean, that's one of those things, right? Like we have all these ideas, but it's really because we're, I don't like the word dimensional because dimension means measurable.
Right, and it's not.
And so I've been using the word recently, I've been using immensional, which is unmeasurable.
Okay.
And I think that we are immensional beings, right? We exist in an immensity of universes and realities and experiences and time. And that's like this seemingly shared one that we have right now is just one of many. And especially being a biological one, being locked into a biological form, like is probably one of the least necessary ones. The things that are the most important about us are infinite and non-tangible anyway. Your love, joy, caring, hopefulness, like those things are intangible and therefore infinite. They exist whether your body exists or not. And they exist in the immension of the cosmos in all of its different forms, in all of its different past, presents, and futures. And so I do think we get glimpses of them, and we see what we're doing in the immension.
Yes, I feel absolutely so, and that is the best definition of what I experienced that day. I mean, I got up immediately and came in here into the man cave and sent you an email about that. Like, this just happened.
Yeah. And the other thing is too, is, you said this while you were describing this, all of your listeners and viewers right now, human beings on a whole, like we recognize that time is a construct anyway. Like we figure that out when we're in elementary school, and the class that you hate in elementary school lasts 4 hours. Yeah. Yes, and the art class only lasts like a minute and a half. Right. As soon as you haven't even gotten your pencils out of the case and it's time for art class to be over, but somehow math class lasts 4 hours. That your recognition and consciousness and the awakening inside you is saying, like, I can stretch and I can contract time. And I mean, that comes to us early on. If you talk to, and many people will know this too, who work in the medical field, when you talk to hospice nurses with terminal patients, they will stretch time. They'll ask for there not to be clocks in their room. They'll ask to go and walk in nature and to be around trees, because they're extending time for themselves. It may not seem so to us, but their reality isn't our perception. They're stretching an hour into a full day, and they're creating time where there doesn't seem to be any, because that construct is on us because these bodies are moving in a certain direction. But like I said, we exist in all of those times and in all of its forms.
And isn't that amazing?
It's an unbelievably crazy swirl of nonsense, and I love it.
It is. It's really oppressive for me down here, John. I have struggled these last couple of years, particularly, to find comfort in what we refer to as 3D. Mm-hmm. I have another thing that we have, we're both ministers. I finally took the leap of faith. I did it last year, and it was, I felt like I had to, because what I learned 30 years ago, being the one and only grief counselor on a campus of 300 kids, was that's what I was good at. Mm-hmm. Dealing with some of the most oppressive, most horrific, heartbreaking scenarios that you can imagine, with little children who were trying to process very often death, the death of a loved one, of a significant person in their life. And because it was a residential facility, the loss would happen away from them, and then they had to process it uh, while they were living on campus and not even being able to interact with the other people in their lives, parents or siblings. And so it was really tough. And I learned then that the only way to get through this part of this life is to really learn to listen, because you cannot console inconsolable grief. It's not possible. It is literally impossible. And so the only thing that you can do is allow space and time for the grief.
Absolutely.
And be there to absorb the outpouring of it. And over the last year and a half, I've done quite a bit of that. And I finally realized that I functioned as a pastor, that I functioned as someone who did her best to comfort others. And I also realized that, in a way, to be able to give of myself in that way comforted me for being stuck here in this realm of existence that feels so uncomfortable. It's like, for me, it's like a shirt that's 2 sizes too tight, where you feel every fiber of it on your body, every pore, every hair is being tugged, just like, oh. And then I have conversations like this, and from the neck up, I am the fuck out of here. I am gone. I am elsewhere. I am happy. I am buoyant. I am full of life, and the ideas are popping. The synapses are snapping, and everything. And then I'm in, and that's when I know I am in the realm of the weird. Did you see how I brought that whole full circle?
Very nice. A very nice turn.
Thank you. Okay, I do want to talk about one more thing before I have Tony pull up some really great pictures of us.
Uh-oh. All right.
Yes, I know, because, we've got some really good ones that
we do have some good ones for sure.
Allie Cotton, really, Allie Cotton is a phenomenal photographer, and she got some great shots of us. But one thing that you've talked about during your lectures that I find fascinating is, and sometimes you even begin them with this, about, how many people in the room believe in ghosts? All the hands go up. How many people in the room believe in UFOs? All the hands go up. How many people in the room believe in Sasquatch?
And then everybody laughs.
Yeah. So if you wouldn't mind, just for my own enjoyment, if you might revisit that concept for a moment.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, you've said this a couple times, and it's something I think that people talk about when they get into these conversations with their friends, whether it's here like now or at the bar or at a restaurant or just sitting in their living room. When you're having deeply philosophical talks, which may seem really silly because you're couching them in ghosts and UFOs, but they are deep philosophical questions about the nature of reality. We have limited vocabulary to discuss this stuff.
We do.
And so when I start my lectures, I always say, how many people believe in ghosts, and hands go up, and how many people believe in UFOs, and hands go up, how many people believe in Sasquatch, and everybody laughs. But the reality of the situation is, when I say, how many people here believe in ghosts? We've never had a large-scale philosophical conversation as a group of people worldwide as to what the word ghost is even going to mean. So everyone is agreeing, first of all, with themselves when they say, I believe in a ghost. But they're thinking their own idea of a ghost. And they're also saying that they believe that there is a persistence in consciousness that exists beyond biological death, that continues on the same personality traits, the same personality flaws, the same characteristics into infinitude. That's what they're believing in. Then you ask if they're going to believe in UFOs. And what you're asking is, do you believe that life has evolved somewhere else in the inky infinitude of space and developed technology and traversed that inky blackness of space to find our tiny little backwater planet in the middle of nowhere and sat down and had, conversations and interactions with us? And most people say yes. But then you ask people, do you think there's a Bigfoot? And they laugh. And the question is simply, do you think there's a big animal we haven't discovered? Which is the most possible of the three concepts. And it's the one that people find absolutely the most ridiculous. It's the most possible of the three. If
Certainly
you're looking
highly probable. Yeah.
highly
Plausible
probable
indeed. Yep.
Yes, that there's a big animal we haven't discovered. I mean, I don't think most people realize the first gorilla that ever came to the United States came here in 1863. So just over 150 years ago was the first time anybody in the United States saw a gorilla. 150 years ago, that's it. And so, and that's if Bigfoot is a physical creature. That's not even saying if Bigfoot is some kind of egregore or tulpa, thought form, or if it's a nature spirit, if it's an incarnation of the earth, if it's an elemental creature. There are all those aspects to be explored as well. But it is really funny how people will say, like, yeah, sure, persistence and consciousness, absolutely. Yeah, sure, highly evolved technological race. No way is there a big animal we haven't discovered.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed that so much. I feel like I need to smoke a cigarette. That was just great. Oh, Lord.
But it is, I mean, it is silly, right? Like, there are these things where I love silliness and I love weirdness, and I love that is such a strange concept. But the thing is like, the other thing I talk about a lot at my lectures too, and I've heard you talk about this, which is a person's weird experiences are enough for them. Like, you don't need to be, I tell people this all the time, it's not a one-upman game. You don't need to be abducted by aliens every 3 days. You don't need to see a UFO every night. You don't need to have an interaction with a ghost every weekend. If you've only ever had a premonitory dream, if you've only ever had an interaction with a butterfly that you thought was your grandmother, that's enough. Like, the universe knows what you need. The universe is doing what it's doing, and it's giving you the things that you need. And so, like, I love hearing, like, people say, oh, you must be sick of hearing. I have a dream story I want to tell you. You must be sick of hearing it. No, I'm not, because I've never heard your dream story. And your experience is amazing for you. And that's why it's still amazing for me to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know what I've found too, and we've done, oh my God, I don't know how many events we've done together, but I find that, when people come up to me, they feel disarmed, of that part of them that they've shielded, that they've protected. They feel an automatic sense of trustworthiness around me, and will tell me things that they've never told anyone, John. Not siblings, not parents, not a spouse, not their own children. They had experiences in their life that they've never, ever shared before. But they'll walk up to me and we'll start to have a conversation. And then inevitably, they begin to cry, and I wrap them in my arms, and I lean over and I whisper, give me your pain. I won't hang on to it. I want you to give it to me as a gift. I believe every word you said. Now give me your pain.
Mm-hmm.
And you can literally feel the weight of the world being shed off them. And the embrace, the longer it lasts, the more therapeutic it is.
Mm-hmm.
And the healing is enormous. Now, is this quantifiable? Is this calculable? Is this measurable? No, none of those things. But that act, those few minutes, has done something to heal the world. Not just that individual, not just me, who lets whatever it is go immediately, as though I'm some kind of a tube or a conduit. I take it in, take it out of them, and there it goes. I shed it like a snake sheds its skin. I might not even remember what they told me afterward.
No, it's amazing. It's amazing to me what you were just talking about. It's amazing to me when you hear a materialist or a mechanized materialist or someone who's skeptical, and they will say something to the effect of, there's no energy transference, there's no kind of telepathic or Reiki healing, nothing like that. Has that person never been hugged? Because that's literally what's happening. Just the physical nature of hugging someone deeply and honestly, and you feeling that happens through a connection with someone. Of course, it's not quantifiable. Of course, it's not measurable. It's immense, right? It's not to be measured. It's something. It's infinite, right? And not only that, but it's individualized to that person. So when you're like, well, can you repeat it? Can you duplicate it over and over again so we can reproduce it and categorize it and classify it and quantize it and put it in a file folder? When the stars of the universe have been finally counted and all of the lives and all of the information have been stored in a book somewhere, if that is the end goal of science, then the end goal is for humanity to sit in boredom and yawn with each other. If there is nothing ever to experience ever again, nothing ever to wonder about, no way to ever evolve and grow, if that's what science is leaning toward, I don't want it.
Me either. It's a self-inflicted wound as far as I'm concerned. It's and I believe in science. And and I also believe that eventually, and I also think what's happening now is something I've lectured about repeatedly, especially at the Star Work Symposium, about the merging of science and spirituality.
Absolutely.
I've talked about ghosts as spirits, perhaps there being a point of correlation and integration between what I perceive to be my galactic family, extraterrestrials, and have gotten into the whole energy exchange and notion of consciousness persisting, which is what I perceive spirit to be. Now, one of the words, since we seem to be focusing our time together tonight on pertinent words in the paranormal patois, words that have specific meaning to us. One of the words that you've talked about and that I have lectured about as well is seance. That word literally means conjuring and communing with the spirits. We're doing that right now.
Yeah.
We're doing that right now. We don't have to sit around a table and, everybody hold hands and light the candles. And although I do like the incense, that's nice.
I do too.
A little aromatherapy never hurt anybody. But we're doing that right now. We're engaged in that right now.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
If that's I've heard you talk about that, and we've discussed it before. But I find it fascinating that people think that they do have to go to a haunted location to talk to the spirit of someone else. My spirit is talking to you and everyone who's listening right now.
Yes,
like this is a seance.
It's mine. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yep, and we both are completely and utterly surrounded with our ancestors, our loved ones, those that have passed before us, who I believe will inevitably run into somewhere on the other side. And I'm so comforted by that. I'm so comforted by the notion that it's all so big and yet so touchable, so contactable. I think of all of existence as a massive tapestry, and each one of us being the tiniest little filament of thread. And when you pull that thread out of that tapestry, it does not detract from the beauty of the tapestry, and it goes elsewhere to create another tapestry.
Yeah.
So it's
and it's funny too, when you were talking about being surrounded. So I think it was probably a year ago or so, but I do a lot of my daily ritual has to do with my ancestors, and that includes me, because I realize that I am going to be someone's ancestor at some point in the future. And a person contacted me on social media after I said something about working with my ancestors and my ritual being based around some of them. And they said, well, you know, a lot of your ancestors were probably pretty terrible people, and they probably had some pretty terrible views. And historically, they're right. Like, I'm sure that some of my ancestors had some pretty racist viewpoints and probably were not the best people. Historically, that is correct. But I told that person, in my work with my ancestors, the ones that were good, I'm trying to make them proud. And for the ones that were bad, I'm trying to be better than they were. Like, that's the lesson that I can learn from them. And I think that when people talk about being surrounded, like we're surrounded by lessons of our ancestors. And if they were problematic, if they were bad people, that's a lesson to you. That's something they teach you, to not be that way. You know, it doesn't necessarily, you know, we talk about just on a personal path, like, you know, you can follow the patterning of your parents and your ancestors, or you can take the good things and grow them, and you can leave the bad things behind. Yes. And it's the same with the ancestors and the spirits that surround us.
It is precisely the same. I don't know if I ever told you this, John, but I'm so grateful to have grown up in an environment where I saw what I did, experienced what I did, because when I lost my baby sister, April, you were with me those few days that we were on the Queen Mary together. And you lifted me up out of the depths of despair. I know I have told you that. You were there when she made contact with me. You were there when all of a sudden a brand new pack of cigarettes and a brand new lighter disappeared off of our shared table. Yep. It was there and then it was gone. You were there for me to come up to you and say, John, she came into my phone this morning and said to me in the largest font that you can put on one of these things, the biggest you could possibly make the words, talk to me. I thought my phone was dying. It turned all milky white. All the icons were gone. And you were the first one that I got to say that to and share that moment with. And had I not lived the way that I have to that point, I don't know if I would have necessarily recognized all the different ways that she tried to make her presence known to me, and then through me to you that weekend. And you know, you held me like you just wanted to absorb the pain out of me. You did to me what I do for others. Just take that pain, give it to me. And I am eternally grateful to you. You literally saved me from myself that weekend when I could have gone figuratively overboard at any conceivable moment, not even believing yet, still having the rush of the PTSD of having heard at LAX, having seen my sister's message, sister of mine, call home now, from Christine. Yeah. And I thought it was my mother. I knew someone had died, but I thought it was my mother. That energy exchange, that healing, loving, pure of heart, watching over me that you did that weekend. I want everybody in the world to know, because I want them to emulate it when someone that they know and love is in need. And they're the ones who choose to reach out and watch over and help guide through. I think that the reason that this is the paradigm shift that I speak of incessantly is not just because of all the radical upheaval going on in the world, but more than anything, the culmination of grief, and particularly for people who have an enhanced empathy,
Yeah.
that feel the loss of everyone, that, you know, they feel everyone else around them. And you do that, which is why I know you're just a wee bit reclusive. Yeah.
A wee bit.
Yeah.
Well,
It is.
I lost my mom this year,
Yes.
and
I know.
I think the thing that, so obviously I'm still going through that process. It was only in January, and it's my mom, and her birthday was Tuesday. So that's her first birthday without her being in body. But it's also one of those things, like learning to hug someone and take on someone's pain and wanting someone to be their fullest. Like, that is something I learned from her. And so when she left, this body behind, she continues to do, when I was saying earlier in the lecture, all of the things that I loved about my mother, I couldn't touch in the first place. The longing to be able to touch her now is just a selfish part of me, to be able to want to see that body. But the things, her joy, her love, her laughter, her concern, her caring, her wanting to help other people, her wanting to take on other people's pain, that is what I learned from her and what she continues to do now. And I think that that's something that you talk about, I talk about, something that is part of the paradigm shift, is realizing that we can help each other. Even those who aren't in body are helping us. And that's a really big thing for people to understand. Like this, we literally are not alone. We are surrounded, as you said earlier, by our ancestors and our loved ones and the weirdos that are sitting in rooms all across the country right now. Like, we are all here together. This is it, and we can help each other. Yeah, and what you're doing by doing this, I mean, is a huge thing, Andrea.
We have people that are watching us while they're eating their breakfast right now in Australia and New Zealand. We have viewers who have identified themselves to us from every continent except Antarctica.
There might be a few penguins watching.
And there might be, but they don't tend to gossip or, talk around a water cooler, because what would be the point? Yeah. And I know that it's making a difference. And what I'm so hoping is that with your help launching this, because of all the wonderful warmth and deep regard and the warm, fuzzy feeling that I know this conversation is creating out there in cyberspace, around the globe, that we've done a service to the world tonight just by simply coming together using the gizmos and gadgets that who knows who gave to us. And we make a difference, John. We make a little bit of a difference in the world. And that is magical to me. That's miraculous to me. In the same way with the spirits, everybody wants to know who was who at the farm. I don't know. Nobody ever walked up and said, "Oh, hello, my name is," the only one ever self-identified of all of them. And it was a little 5-year-old boy, Oliver. That was the only one. It doesn't matter who they were in life, in the vessel anymore. They know who they were. We don't have to in order to acknowledge them and to communicate with them. We don't have to know who they were. That they still are is the freaking miracle. That's what matters. Spirit matters because it exists.
Right.
It's, to me, it's not, and I probably to you as well, it's natural to me. It's not supernatural. It's normal. It's not paranormal. It's just a normal part of my life. And I'm so grateful to have it, because it affords me the ability to see, I guess, big picture, not, to kind of peck my way out of the little 3D eggshell like the chick that has to make its way through. And there's this whole big, huge universe out here. And so for these couple of hours tonight, I've gotten to share the universe with you.
I know, it's wonderful.
Wonderful. So, and let me introduce you. You haven't met and well, come here. I know come on, you're gonna get to meet. Oh, Rump Roast gonna get to meet Uncle John. Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
This
that is a friend.
Buttercup. I know when I need that. It kind of finishes off my face, babe. It does. She's
what a cutie.
I know, baby. Oh my God, I love this dog. She's the center of my universe. All right, here, sit right here.
But you know what you were saying about we don't need to know we don't need to know who they were, just need to know that they are, that's the miracle. And the thing is, I feel to myself too. So one of the mentors that I did have that made a big influence on my life was a minister whose name was Jack Bull, and this is back in the 90s. He's passed away in 92. But he used to say this thing. First of all, he was the most amazing. You want to talk about like the most amazing person you ever knew, and what I ever knew. And like Jack was one of those people who he ended every Sunday sermon by saying, "Go forward." Every Sunday sermon, go forward, go forward. And then when he announced to the congregation that he had lymphoma and he only had a few months to live, we had his funeral while he was alive because he didn't want everybody to show up after he was dead and he wouldn't be able to see them with his physical eyes. He wanted them to show up while he was alive and say nice things about him while he was around. But then he ended up, that way we also couldn't have a funeral when he died. He made us not do a funeral when he died. So the week that he died, we had our next Sunday service and the associate minister came and said, Jack said we should not have a funeral for him, but I just wanted you all to know that he died on March 4th. And, Jack used to end every one of his sermons by telling us to go forward. And the last day of his life was March 4th. Go forward. I mean, that's how connected this guy was. But the thing that I want to share with your audience is Jack would do this thing where he would say, "Do you want to know the secret wisdom of the universe? Listen closely and I'll whisper it in your ear so no one else can hear it, just you. Here's the secret wisdom of the universe. Surprise yourself. Surprise yourself with your kindness. Surprise yourself with your caring, with your imagination, with your creativity, with your ability to adapt and change. That's the secret of the universe. Surprise yourself." And I really think that that's something that has carried with me and I love other people to know about. When you feel like you can't do something, when you feel like you have reached a breaking point, when you feel like you don't know what to do, surprise yourself with what you do.
Yeah. It's wonderful advice. I've never heard it put quite that way before, but that really is brilliant advice. Mm-hmm. And particularly apropos now. I mean, we are going through radical changes. Nothing is ever going to be the same on the other side of this. It just won't. Our perceptions have been altered by all that we've been through together. And, make no mistake, we're all in this together. Mm-hmm. And so there's no one untouched by these last couple of years. No one who can legitimately say, "Oh yeah, I'm exactly the same as I was 2 years ago." Not if you're a thinking, feeling human being, you're not. No, you're not. I mean,
and even if they're saying that, it's not true.
It's not true. They're being disingenuous with themselves and others. So, I mean, unless they've been laying around in a vat of formaldehyde or in a sarcophagus for a couple of years, they're just, fundamentally altered by everything that we've been through. And so I thought that this would be a nice time to go back just before we go forward, my dear.
All right. Let's
go back.
Okay.
And look at a retrospective, hello, honey, a few of the good times that we've had, in hope that there will be many more in the future. Tony, would you be so kind, honey, as to pull up a few of, I sent him a bunch. I said, you pick what you want. Oh yes, that was, yeah,
That was it.
Omara's.
Omara's.
Yeah, the birthday cake, and you helped me blow out the candles. Okay, we can move on from birthday pictures. Okay, that's when he helped me blow out the candles. Because it takes two smokers to blow out one
it really does.
Candles. Oh, that's one of my favorites from Allie. That's a
good
beautiful
one.
picture of us.
I have a nice Gene Rayburn tie on in that one.
Yes, you did. And that's one of my favorites that you had posted years ago, and I lifted it up because, I look at it and I say, you are the light. There you go, Mr. Tenney.
That was a pretty dark basement too. Oh, wow. Crazy.
I know. Look at these crazy weirdos that we hang out with, huh? I know. They're great people. That was a wonderful shot. And also one of yours,
that's pretty brooding. That's a pretty brooding.
You look very brooding and very grumpy in that picture. And yeah, it truly captures the thoughtfulness of you.
That is nonsense. I think I was dancing with Nick at Michigan Paracon.
Yes.
I came out on stage and did a slow dance with him.
Yes, it was lovely, honey. It was really, it was. And that was the first time we were ever together at Omara's.
Yeah, was that 2015?
I believe it was 2015, and my hair was too short, and I looked like a beluga whale in that white thing. I have since destroyed that. No, it's gone. Okay, and this is one of your pieces of artwork when you were putting all these great posters together. And I had said to the crowd, John's a wonderful graphic artist, and he put together some great posters for us.
I do some good work every now and then.
Yep, that one's awesome. But my favorite's coming up. I know what it is. Oh, it's not. I thought he was going to do all the artwork at the same time. No, this is a good picture from you. And also you had the cigarette smoke going up in front of you a little while ago too. I think you do that, John, just because it looks like there's a ghost right in front of you.
I tell people a lot. I've actually said this recently on a podcast, which is I watch smoke swirling to become inspired. There's something about watching the smoke swirl that puts me in an artistic mood.
Yep. Diversify your weirdness. One of my favorites.
No tie. Wow.
Oh, I know. It's so unlike you, dear. Are you wearing your cosmic tie tonight? This is my favorite one.
This was a fun one to make.
Oh, God. I laughed my ass off.
I still do love that one.
That's one of my favorites. You've done, I think you've done all the Michigan Paracons, which is, oh my God, what an event. But that's one of my favorite. And I was terrified going over that bridge the first time that I did because the wind was whipping at about 50 miles an hour. And I was in Cass's CRV and I thought, I'm going right over the side of this bridge.
The last year or this year, I mean, there was a huge rainstorm and we got stuck on that bridge.
Ooh, scary. It is. That's scary. Great. Yep. Okay. Where's that's one of your great posters. I couldn't find the red and black one. I looked and looked for it and I couldn't find it, but this is one of your, when you did the Baldwin library event.
That is crazy that's 21 years ago, 22 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who would have thought that all these years later, I'd still be talking about this stuff?
I know.
I love it.
I know. Tony, can you put up we've got that one. I think we already did that one. I just sent you two different versions of it. But there's the one that I love so much. Oh yeah, when Zaffis photobombed us. Those were hysterical photographs. Yes. Allie got all of them when Zaffis photobombed us. He's a piece of work, that one. I love that man. He is just hysterical.
Yes.
Did you know? Don't tell anyone, but Mr. Zaffis is afraid of extraterrestrials.
I've heard that. I didn't know if that was true or not.
Terrified. I'm not even allowed to talk about it in his presence. And when I was staying at his house, he and Cher were out. Well, no, Cher was at work and John was sitting out on the back deck with me. And it was in July of, I think, 2017, 2018. And I spent a few days with them and I was on my way to the Ocean State Paracon. and a vessel went right over the house. And I'm like, John, look up. There it is. It's right there. It's just right there. He's like, I don't see anything. You know, and I said, it didn't even look. It's like, you know what? I don't really want to. I think I need to. I'm going to go make a cup of tea. And he goes and runs into his house, you know, and it was right there for him to see it. And
there are a lot. That's why I talk about diversifying your weirdness. There are a lot of Bigfoot people. You know this. I say it at lectures. Bigfoot people don't want to talk about ghosts. Ghost people don't want to talk about Bigfoot. UFO people don't want to talk about like demons. Like there's people outside. Like you have to diversify your weirdness because it's all weird. Like that's the category.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That's the category. And everything fits so perfectly into it. You know, it was not until I accepted my weirdness, which was probably about 20 years ago, that I really embraced my weirdness, that I was okay being different. And acknowledged that I had always felt very much like a misfit on this planet. And I was just, you know, year after year after year, fake it till you make it, you know, let everybody think let everybody think that you're one dimensional compared to, you know, ultra dimensional. And then I got ultra dimensional. And then I figured out that in the infinitesimal infinitude, we are nothing and we are everything. And when I came to that realization of oneness is when I dropped everything. I walked away from my theater company. I walked away from a very secure job with wicked good benefits and decided to write our story because, as my mother said, it's not the kind of story that one should rightfully take to the grave. If we lived it, then we should tell it. And that changed everything. And it brought you into my life. And I discovered you a long, long time ago, quite by accident. Yeah, like that really happened. It was a coincidence that I
just a coincidence.
You know, flicking through and came upon you in something. I mean, it's so long ago, I don't even remember what it was. I think it was your first paranormal show. And I was completely blown away by your presence. Oh, and John, and if you haven't seen it yet, I want you to watch a film called The Dig. Have you seen it?
I haven't.
Either you're channeling Ralph Fiennes or he's channeling you. But it's like you in this film. There's so much about the character of this man, this archaeologist, this just amazing. That reminded me so much of you. It was like watching a movie that you were starring in. And so I want to see if you're as taken by it as I am. So, you know, text me after you watch it. I don't care what time of day or night it is. Watch it. It's wonderful. Well, we only have 5 minutes left, which is horrendous. I don't know how that happened. Again, the space-time continuum was completely shattered tonight.
Flew by.
But
that's Annie, when we do those lectures together at Omara's, like we say like, oh, we'll only do an hour and a half or 2 hours. And then they end up going like 4 hours.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I mean, we have to take breaks. I go get a cigarette, you get a cigarette, bathroom break, whatever. Somebody from the bar brings you another vodka. I accidentally drink it. Everyone laughs. It's hysterical. I mean, you know, you got to make light of it. You got to, baby. You got to make light of it all out there. But how can people reach you, wonderful, amazing you? I know you're big on Twitter. I ignore it like the Black Plague. But I know people can reach you at Twitter, but where else? And tell them about your wonderful podcast with the lovely Jessica Knappich, who I adore.
Yeah, so all of my social media is just John E.L. Tenney. or I tell people to just go to Google and type my last name, Tenney, and then weirdo into a box and follow it wherever it goes. But once a week, I have a podcast called What's Up Weirdo with my friend Jessica, and we just post a phone call that we have with each other. There's never any topic. Sometimes we talk about the depression that we're going through. Sometimes we talk about the trips that we've been on. It's just two friends. It's very voyeuristic. And it's comforting, especially at this time, just to put on in the background and hear some people talking and having a chat and sometimes yelling at each other and laughing with each other. I think, that if we've missed anything in quarantine, it's that. It's just the sound of other humans talking and being around us. And I think that we miss that a lot. So that's What's Up Weirdo. And you can find that, wherever you find podcasts.
Yeah, it's marvelous. I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight. I know I feel bad because Tony jumps in and he has a question or two, and I didn't give him a chance tonight. So Tony, if you would like to come bid farewell to the marvelous Mr. Tenney, please feel free to jump back into the broadcast. I almost always give him a chance to come in and ask questions of his own, which are always quite erudite and to the subject matter, and he didn't get that opportunity tonight. But we'll have him on again.
Exactly. We will have him on again because I could have spent probably 12 shows with questions and talking to John, but great conversation between the two of you. I know you're running out of time, so I don't want to take away from anything, but just a great show. I know the audience absolutely just enjoyed it as much as I did watching it and everybody else. So John, it was a pleasure to virtually meet you and hopefully one day get to do it face to face, but I'll let you guys continue. And I think we've got about 2 minutes yet, and I'll let you go from there.
Well, thanks, first of all, before you go anywhere, please allow me to assure you that you are never anything more than value added to every single broadcast that we do. And I don't want you to go anywhere because I want John to look at what I sent to Tony, which was, I believe, a NASA or a Hubble photograph of the Pleiades. That I sent, and he posted it behind him. And
I thought that was the sisters behind him.
Yeah, it was the seven sisters, and I always tell him that's where I'm from. I don't know why I know that, but I seem to gravitate to that in the sky. It's the only thing about winter that I really, really love. I'm not a cold weather person anymore, but I sure do love looking up and seeing the Pleiades on any given night. In the winter months, and it draws me home, and I know, John, you've talked about this yourself, that you've been through, you've literally been through death and then back, and your experience of that, which we'll talk about next time, because I want to give you a big chunk of time to go into that and the experience of it. But it seems to me that it is this shared experience, this thing called life, that we all have in common, the energy that we exchange, the higher love that we share with each other, that is not even of this world. It's not. It's something else entirely. And so it is time for us to say goodnight, but to leave people with a message. And that message, I believe, is shared by all when we suggest humbly that in all things, be the light you seek. I love you all. Thanks for joining us tonight on our first new episode of an old show. Mr. Tenney, thank you.
Thank you, dear. Love you.
Love you. Good night.